Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back. It's Newton, it's the Club Junkie, and I'm back. I know I missed last week. I apologize. I thought I was going to have more time to record a podcast, and I just didn't. I was busy. It was a wild week, and I had literally like zero free time. So what I thought I was going to be able to record a podcast, I wasn't able to, but I apologize. But I'm back. It's another week. We've hit the middle of the week. And before we get going, just want to let you know this episode brought to you by Team Titleist. So Team Titleist is basically a club. You know, it's a bunch of like-minded golf nuts who are basically sharing the excitement of the game of golf and Titleist. And basically, Team Titleist gives you access to opportunities like prototype testing, special events, limited edition gear from Titleist, and so much more. You can sign up and join Team Titleist at www.titleist.com/Team Titleist, all one word. But yeah, if you want to ever see those white boxes of Pro V1s that are the prototypes for the next year, that's part of Team Titleist. So if you want to be part of that, sign up, become a member of Team Titleist. There's so much more than that, but sign up and get a chance to test some golf balls, things like that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And like I said, golf junkies alike love testing prototype gear. So check it out when you get a chance. And yeah, I am back. I basically am here. I was last week, as some of you may or may not know, I was out at Bandon Dunes. So I went out to Bandon Dunes. It was a big TaylorMade event. I appreciate TaylorMade inviting me out there. They had some product news, some things like that. I can't talk about it yet. Maybe next week. Looking at the calendar here, today's the 3rd. Possibly next week I can talk about about what we were doing out there. But they were kind enough to invite me out, and it was a pretty special experience. I was a little worried about the travel aspect of it, because getting to Bandon Dunes is, if you don't know, Bandon Dunes is in like the furthest west, kind of west central part of Oregon. It's right along the ocean, or at least most of it is. And it isn't like it's not like flying into Eugene, Oregon. It's not like flying into a big city. It's a pretty small area. It's pretty, I'll call it, out there in terms of outdoorsy and all that. It's kind of in the woods. It's, it's not quite there. So you basically have to, like, at least for us, we flew into San Francisco and then took a pretty small plane, into Bend, Oregon, which is just about 35 minutes or so from the resort. So a little bit of travel getting there, and I was a little worried about my bag getting there in one piece, and actually even getting there, and things like that. I hadn't flown since the 2019 PGA show, so I wasn't sure what it was like in airports or anything like that, on planes, anything. And to be honest, it really wasn't that bad. I mean, pretty much other than wearing a mask, it's pretty much status quo. You get on a plane, and you go through security, you do all your stuff, and you get on a plane and you go. Like I said, the only difference is you're wearing a mask in the airport and wearing a mask on the plane. So it was very fun, but it was cool. So I got the notice that I was going to get to go out there. I was going to be kind of the Golf WRX representative, which was pretty cool. And I've known a bunch of the TaylorMade people who were out there for years, meeting them through other events and being out there in Carlsbad and things like that. So it was pretty cool to see some faces that I probably hadn't seen in 2 years, however long it was. But it was pretty special to go out there. It was pretty fun, and I think everybody who was on this trip, it was a lot of golf media, they were all pretty excited to be there, to play, to also see what we saw, a lot of new stuff, and be able to get to hit it, get to see it, touch it, feel it, and not talk about it for another week. But yeah, it was awesome. So Bandon Dunes, like I said, it's out in Oregon. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. It is a extremely kind of classic golf resort in a sense. When I say that, I mean it's very interesting that it is no golf carts. So if you're thinking about going to Bandon Dunes for a trip, which I highly recommend, it was pretty special. I would suggest that before you go, maybe a few weeks before, after dinner, after work, whatever it is, maybe go out and take some long walks. Maybe walk 5-10 miles, whatever it is, depending on how much golf you're going to play, because your body is probably not ready for it. And realistically, even if I walked around my neighborhood, which is pretty flat and everything, it at least would have helped a little bit to get me kind of ready for what I was entailed or about to put my body through, which was Definitely harder than I thought. I knew we were going in, I knew we were walking, all that. I didn't understand. So we played 36, 36, 18, and then flew home. And I hadn't walked 18 since basically in Michigan, when they reopened all golf courses during COVID, but you couldn't ride any carts or anything like that. You could go walk, and that was probably the last time I walked 18. So it had been a while. Walking 36, I don't think I've ever done in my life. I played 36 a bunch, and I'm about to do it this weekend, but I've never walked 36. So it was definitely a very interesting and strenuous rounds of golf, but it was pretty cool. So I had a blast. I had a great time. I played well at some points. I didn't play well at others, but it was pretty cool. So I had some. Saw some old buddies out there. My boy old Tursky. Him and I played a couple rounds together, which was pretty fun. It was good to see him again. I know we haven't seen each other in, again, probably a couple of years. Our probably PGA show was probably the last time. So it was great to catch up with him, hang out, and either have dinner, play some golf, all of the above. A bunch of other media people that either I just met or had seen but hadn't seen in a long time. It was pretty cool. So it was a fun time. It was a really great experience, and I'm very grateful that the boys at TaylorMade invited me along. So, and if you ever, going on something like this, if you ever, and I know I say this all the time, but it just reinforced it again, last week, was if you're one of those people who think that companies like TaylorMade or Callaway or Titleist or whoever, any of these big companies are just making clubs to make money, that they're just literally putting out new stuff so they can take money out of your pocket, you are absolutely insane. It is so cool when you're hanging out with these engineers and designers and guys who have been building or making clubs for years and years and years, just to see the passion they have for what they're creating and what they're making, and their passion for the love of the game, all that. They're legitimately trying to make people better. They are no way just trying to take money out of your wallet. It is amazing the things that they think about, the things that they try to do, when you talk to them, the passion that oozes out of them, that they're trying to be better. I mean, they legitimately were playing and they're asking, me questions about, what do you think about the marketplace? What do you think about that? What do you think about this? And they're literally listening too. It's not just to make a conversation. It is literally to find out what we think, in terms of media, looking across the whole industry, and basically, having a real conversation about things that they, may take back and look at later on. We were talking about parts of the market that are underserved in terms of equipment. What kind of golfer doesn't have a whole lot of, has fewer options than others, and things like that. And it's really interesting to see that those guys, that their mind is always working. They're always trying to think of stuff. They've got ideas. They're just going. And they'll pull stuff out of your bag that's not TaylorMade, and look at it and take a look and see what other companies are doing, and it's pretty cool. So, like I said, if you ever think that these companies are out here just trying to just trying to pull money out of your wallet, you're crazy. They're legitimately trying to push the limits of design, engineering, and manufacturing to make you the best possible golf clubs they can make. And it's like I said, you just see that the whole week just talking to people and everything. So. But yeah, it was pretty cool. So we played 5 rounds ago. Well, actually, we played more than that. So we flew in Monday night. Got in because there's basically one flight in out of San Francisco, and it lands at 3:00 in Bend, Oregon. So by the time we got to the hotel, checked in, got everything going, we got over to basically Bandon Trails, which is one of the courses there, and they have a restaurant, had dinner, and just kind of hung out, talked, whatever, and got to meet the boy Harry Higgs from the PGA Tour was there. And I do have to say, Harry Higgs is a pretty cool guy. He is just a guy you have to root for, especially after meeting him. And it's also, too, that him and I have very similar body types. And now he's far taller than me and slightly better golfer. But we have, very similar outlooks on working out, and it's pretty minimal. But we played... we got there, we ate dinner, and then we went and played the Preserve, which is this little 13-hole par 3 course, and it's pretty cool. It's basically, when you think of, I guess, par 3 courses, you basically think of just flat little 60-yard holes, flat greens, or maybe little dome greens, all that. And this thing is about 1,000 miles away from that. I think the longest hole in the course is, I believe, 120. I guess you can play a back tee at 150 on one hole. But that's about as far as it goes. So the longest hole we played, I think, was like 115 yards. And then they go as short as like 60. Or no, there's one that's 40. But it's pretty cool because, I mean, there's so much elevation to it. It's not even like elevation like we're hitting down 100 feet. It's just the green's raised. There's a big bunker with a huge lip. There's long grass. Like, everything around it, it just doesn't feel... I mean, it's a par 3, but it just doesn't feel like a typical par 3 course. I mean, it's pretty beautiful. And we played it, like I said, after dinner. It was a little chilly. We got a little bit of mist, like right kind of in the middle where I wouldn't even call it rained. It was just kind of like a mist for maybe 2 holes. And, that was it. The rest of the time, it was just kind of cool and nice. We had little bags with, just a couple clubs in there. Just, you all you needed was a few wedges, a putter, and some balls, and you could go out and play. So it was pretty cool. Some of the holes, I mean, some of the undulation on these greens was absolutely wild. I think, what is it? One of the guys posted a picture of me. I hit it over the green, found the ball on like the next tee box, and the only shot I had, which was actually directed by Mr. Higgs himself, was to hit it over into, like, looking back, what would have been the right side of the green, my left then coming back of the green, and it was like to hit it on basically top of like the walking path where you walk off the green, and really basically Harry was like, this is the only hope, because over here, if you hit it here and it's stop and like you can get it to kind of die, like slow down, it'll just trickle onto the green and maybe roll down to the hole. If you go anywhere at the green, whatever, like it's going to roll off. And I tried to hit it over where he said. I didn't quite put enough height on it, and the ball basically scooted almost all the way off the green. I think I had a huge putt coming back, but it's a really just amazing. I mean, it's just a really unique course. I mean, putting on there, and just seeing, like I said, the undulation, the things like that, like the thought that went into this little par 3 course is far beyond any other little par 3 that I've ever played. It just was really fun to do. And like I said, some of the settings and all that and where these greens were just, I mean, they were set against, like, there was one that the whole left side was just kind of like a little bit of a cliff, and it ran away, and it was all just, bush and whatever. And it was just like, like holes like that, it was just really cool to even look at. And it was a lot of fun. So like some guys, I think we played as 4, we played with 5 when we played with Harry for a few holes. And then some groups, I mean, there were people who played as 6s. I think we saw a group of guys that were like 8. But it was just really fun to go out there and just kind of hit some shots. I actually hit my wedge just really well. I was hitting it like dead center flush. It was like, the distance was hard to judge and things like that. Like, you ran into some yardages that were just tough because the wind's blowing, and, say it's 80 yards, and I'm like, well, 56 is going to be a lot to hit it into this wind. So maybe I'll try to hit, either a gap wedge or whatever. Like, you were just trying to kind of play these clubs, and I did flight some stuff down and play it a little long sometimes, but overall I was making really good content. I mean, I don't think I hit a shot that I either really chunked or anything like that the whole night, which was really fun. And again, kind of gave me a little false confidence for later in the round. But the preserve was really cool. I mean, if you ever go like play the preserve, it's pretty cool. It's a fun little track. They have a little bar type snack shop right in the middle that you can stop. I may have had a beverage or two. I don't know. I don't remember. But it was very, very cool. And by the time we were done with that, I think we went back. We had dessert and then off to bed, because most of us were absolutely dead tired, because between time change and travel and all that, most of us were just done. And I think I got back to my room about, it was probably like 10 o'clock by the time the shuttle took us back over, because we didn't stay on site. We were supposed to, but some things happened, so we stayed at this little casino down the road, which was like a 20-25 minute drive. So by the time I got back, I was done. I was cashed out on Monday, so there was no recording of a podcast then. And then I had to wake up pretty early to get up and get out of the hotel and get over to Bandon again. So we got over there. Tuesday morning was some product stuff. We did some product stuff in the morning, and then we got to play Bandon Dunes, which the resort having the similar name. It was kind of the one that I was kind of like interested in. I mean, it's Bandon Dune. It's the one, and It was interesting, I've never played with a caddy before. I really haven't played a whole lot of link-style golf, which Bandon really is. I don't think there's too many trees on the property, if any. There's a good amount of gorse that you can find, which if you don't know gorse, it's this bush that is like made of thorns, and if you hit your ball in there, you can't go get it. Not without maybe like a suit of armor. But it was it was pretty cool. I got to meet my caddy, who was actually from Michigan. It was a shout out to Justin there. He was a super nice guy. All the caddies that we had were super nice. But he came up, and he was when I told him he was from Michigan, he thought he was going to pull a fast one on me, and he was like, "You ever heard of Tecumseh, Michigan?" Which is not a huge town. It's pretty small, but my grandmother, actually, my grandparents, now my grandmother, lived just outside of Tecumseh in Adrian, Michigan, which is, it's kind of in the southern, I'd call it like the southeastern part, like the really southeastern part of the state. And but I was like, yes, I have heard of it. I'd been through it, and he was shocked that I'd heard of his hometown. But it was pretty cool. So had that in common. But it was pretty awesome. These guys, like, you go out and play, and from what we've heard, there's a lot of play out there that people are trying to cut costs by not taking a caddy. And honestly, I don't know how I would have played it without one. Like yes, you can shoot your own, you can like your rangefinder, shoot your own pins. You can figure out figure out the distance of any hole. I get it. Like that part's not hard. But the whole one is like some of the reading of the green, which I don't consider myself an amazing green reader, but there was more than a couple times that I honestly thought the ball was breaking left to right, and when my caddy came up, it was like, no, that's right to left, and it happened more than a couple times, and I never questioned it. I just basically said okay, and I aimed where they said, and typically they were pretty much spot on. And had I aimed at the point I was going to aim at, that ball would have been long gone. But yeah, it was fun. The first hole, we walk up, and Justin's like, hey man, just hit it at this bunker. The wind was dead into us, and he's like, hit it at that bunker. It would take well over 300-yard shot to get into that bunker, so don't even worry about it. And I was like, great. And I absolutely, with people watching, people up on the patio, all that, just piped a drive right down the middle and right at the bunker. I was like, all right, great. And as we walked off, talking, whatever, I walk up, and my ball is, it rolled up, and it was sitting basically 1.5 inches from falling into the bunker. So I had to stand in the bunker, which came up to basically my shins, and then choked on a 9-iron to the basically metal shaft, and just try to punch it up towards the green. And I got it partway up the hill. It came back down, so I ended up having to hit another wedge on. But it was just like, that was kind of that right there was kind of the tell of like, hey, this is going to be pretty hard. So Bandon, we played that in the morning on Tuesday. The wind was blowing 20 miles an hour, maybe 25, the starter said. And it was constant. Like, it wasn't really gusty. It was just constant. So, it was one of those things where you'd get to some of these greens that are right on the ocean, and it would be a par 3, and you'd have a shot at hey, it's 140 yards, but we're going to need to hit it 185, 190, whatever. The amount of extra club you had to take on some of these holes to hit it into the wind was just unbelievable. We had drives that we hit on, I think it was it hole 11? Going dead into the wind. I think all of us hit great drives, and I don't think anybody hit it over 200 yards. The ball just literally hit the wind. It didn't matter if you tried to flight it down, whatever. It just went into the wind and just stopped. So it was pretty crazy. It was, Bandon to me was like the hardest course to play, and the reason I say that is because it's just so different than golf in the Midwest. Like golf in the Midwest, you have fairway, you have rough. You get up to there, you have a green. You have a fringe or a first cut, and then you have rough. And how you play it is, if you miss the green, you take a sand wedge or a gap wedge or a lob wedge, depending on your lie, whatever, and you pop it up onto the green, and it releases, and that's it. Everything is pretty much, you can go up in the air with it for the most part. And some things you have to go up in the air. It doesn't matter. Well, Bandon, it's not like that. Like, and if you, like I said, I never played anything like this. If you've never played it, basically everything around the green is cut super short. So if you miss the green, you're on a super tight fairway, if not tighter than fairway lie. It was super hard, and it basically, you had to basically either putt or bump and run every single shot around the green, and that's just not something I do much because I don't have to. So it took me like 6 holes to realize, like, leave the sand wedge, leave the gap wedge, and the basically the most loft you're going to take is maybe pitching wedge, if not 9 or whatever, and everything is going to be kind of bump and run it, bump it into the hill to slow it down, run it. But even then, like, the lines were so tight. I mean, it almost looked, when you look at Bandon, it almost looked like there wasn't any grass. It was almost like it was dirt that was kind of like tinted green. I mean, it was just so tight. Like, the ball, I mean, getting under the ball, it took like real precision. And I just it took me a long time to get used to that. And I'm just, like I said, I've never played that type of golf before. My game's not built for it, and I don't think my mind was really built for it. I just wasn't in that mindset of, like, these are the shots you need to hit. I was basically thinking about playing back home and the yardages and the shots, and, like, looking at these shots, and I looking at them like I was at back at a course in Michigan with rough and softer greens and everything like that. And you just can't play it that way. And like I said, it took me probably most of the front 9 to kind of figure that out and realize, like, hey, you got to hit some different shots here to be successful. So we actually we didn't keep score. I kind of kept score for the first few holes, and then it was like taking pictures with my phone and talking to people, whatever. I just totally forgot. So I highly doubt I was under 90 there. I'm pretty sure I was probably in the 90s during that round. The nice thing is you don't lose a lot of golf balls. I actually, so we got there, and there's the caddy master comes out. Hey, we're going to assign you your caddies, talking to you, kind of telling you some stuff. And he goes around and picks up your bag to see how heavy it is, because these caddies, you have 2 caddies per foursome. They each carry 2 bags. And they want to make sure they're light, they're not too heavy, whatever. And he picks up my bag and he goes, "What do you got in here?" And I was like, clubs, whatever, balls. He's like, "How many balls do you have?" And I brought a lot, because I think there were 24 in my bag, easy, if not more. Because I was just like, I don't know how many balls I'm going to lose. Like, this is going to be some tough golf with the wind and all that. And he's like, no, you don't need that many. So he pulls out a plastic bag. I load up basically all my balls, but like 9. I think maybe I had 9, maybe 8. And he's like, "All right, you're good to go." And I was like, oh man, I'm like, this is going to be bad. I'm going to run out of balls, like, 11 holes in. And I didn't. I mean, everything that I hit, I mean, granted, I didn't hit anything insanely offline, but I'll tell you what, like, these guys, these caddies, like, they find golf balls. Like, they are used to doing this stuff, and they definitely can find balls. Because, I mean, and also, too, the other thing is, like, when you hit it in, like, the rough, it's this, like, long wispy grass, but it's really not super thick. So you can see the ball from actually a little ways away. So, unlike the Midwest, where you hit it in some of the long grass and it's just gone, it falls down and you can't see it, you can still find these balls relatively easily. So I was kind of surprised at how few balls I lost on that round, because I was thinking I was going to lose like a dozen. I was like, I'm going to burn through golf balls at just an insane rate. But I really didn't. I mean, I think over all the rounds, I probably lost 12. And most of them were on basically one course. So, I mean, it actually wasn't bad at all for as many rounds as we played, and, never playing these courses. But there was just so many, like, kind of crazy, wild, blind shots. But the views are crazy. I mean, you wanted to take a picture of everything, and then you get back and you look at your phone, and the pictures don't do it justice at all. I mean, the elevation changes, looking out over the ocean. I mean, all that stuff, it just doesn't do it justice. Everything looks super flat. And it's just not, and it's just kind of crazy. Like I said, I look back at my photos, and I'm just like, it's kind of disappointing to see the photo, because I remember what it looked like, and it just wasn't that. But Bandon was very cool. It was, there were some pretty cool holes that, you got a lot of run. Everything was rock hard, so everything ran like crazy. You could always play things short in front of the green. It would probably release up, as long as there was no danger, whatever. Some of the guys on this trip, especially downwind stuff, man, did they hit some long drives. For all you wondering, Tursky is no longer playing left-handed, and he is hitting the ball extremely hard and extremely long. We were playing 13, which is kind of this downhill par 5. It kind of, dog legs left a little bit, and I hit an okay drive, and then I hit, and one of the partners, I think Tony Covey from my golf spot I was playing with, him and I were kind of in a similar spot. And then the guy from Tomo from TaylorMade, I mean, who hits it long, bombed one down there way in front of us. And then as we're walking up, we see another ball like 20 yards in front of his, and we're like, whose ball is this? Somebody walks by, looks at it, nobody in our group. I mean, it's not the same number, whatever, marking. So we just keep playing. We're like, that's so weird. And as we're on the green, we look back, and whose ball is it? Turskies. Like he hit one basically like over us, and we didn't even like see it until it was like, we walked up on it. So your boy is still hitting along. He's playing pretty decent golf. His putter was struggling. He still does putt left-handed, interesting enough. If things are going south with the right-handed putter, he will definitely pull out the lefty putter, which is in his bag. So I saw him do that a couple rounds as well. But Bandon Dunes was pretty awesome. It was pretty cool. It's just different golf. And the wind factor, you just walked off it feeling like you were pretty beat up. Like it took its toll on you. So, but it was cool to play. It was pretty fun. And, like out of all the courses, I probably unfortunately rank it like the 4th out of the 4 that I played, but it's still a pretty special place. And then in the afternoon we played Bandon Trails, which is the course that's not on the water. It's inland. I think it's just like southeast of Bandon. But basically we're running late, so our caddies basically told us like, hey, you're not going to make the full round. Like you're probably not going to make it. Like you really have to hustle. So they're like, you can either, there's 2 spots you can get off at. But Trails was insane. It was my favorite course of the bunch. It reminded me a lot of playing back home. The grass was just a little bit longer. I don't remember. It was actually slightly different grass. They told us, one of the caddies told us what it was, but it was more tree lined. And other than hole 1 and 18, really, it just was really cool looking golf. You looked out there and just the bunkering, the trees, they're pretty wide fairways and stuff, but it was just a really cool look. And I think that like pretty much majority of the people rank Trails as, if not 2, it was close. It was just like it was 2 or 1 or whatever with a lot of people, and I think that was surprising considering we played Bandon Dunes and Pacific Dunes, and a lot of people like Trails better. But Trails to me was just a more playable course. Like I said, a little longer grass. It's a little more green, had more trees. The wind wasn't as brutal, and it had a more elevation to it. You hit down in some holes that you teed it from up high, or there was a par 5 that. I think it was number 16. That is just, it's a ski slope, straight up ski slope, and you just have to walk up it. And I think it was like 500 yards anyway, and then uphill into the wind. I think I hit driver, hybrid, like full 8-iron or something like that. It was just something crazy. It was like, I couldn't get there. So it was a pretty wild test, but just a really fun course. A little bit of water on it. Holes like 11 had some water on it, as just to kind of throw it out there. Like the whole green on the right side was just a little pond, and like I said, it just reminded me of playing back home a little bit, and it was super nice. So the Trails was kind of my favorite. We played that on that night, and we got through, and we're playing, and basically our caddy said like, you're gonna either finish at 7. Or you're going to finish at like 14. I think it was 13 or 14. They're like, those are kind of the 2 spots that you can kind of get off. I think it was something like that, like 7 or whatever. So we basically got out to, we got out to 7. We still had light. We're like, all right, we're going to keep going. And then on hole 11, we kind of met up Harry Higgs and Chris Trott were filming for TaylorMade. So we were like, hey guys, like they were finishing up, and we're like, you want to play a couple holes? Like we're just basically playing to 14, and then we're done. And they're like, yeah, let's go. So we played, and I unbuttoned my shirt just like Harry. He was happy to see somebody else showing off a little chest hair, and it was pretty cool. We played some holes, and he was carrying his own bag, had no caddy, and was just annihilating the course. It was just like ripping drives down the middle, knocking them on the green, walking up, talking about the breaks and the reads and his putts, and everything. It was kind of cool to watch. Him not even caring, but still going out there and playing that insanely well. So, it was fun to watch a guy like that hit the shots he hit. And like I said, not even trying, just kind of throwing the ball out there and just, knocking it on the green, knocking it to 15, 20 feet, if not closer, hitting putts that either went in or just by. It was kind of cool. And then like, again, I think on the par 3 12, which is super long, it's like 230 yards. And I hit it basically pin high, but to the right, and to the right, there's this huge mound. So I was like, your shots are open the face, flop it, try to flop it over and stop it, or you putt it over, and you putt it over, it's going to roll to like, 15, 20 feet, and you putt it back. And Higgs was basically telling me, he's like, those are your two shots. And he's like, on those two, I'd recommend putting it. And I hit a decent putt. I think it stopped 15 feet. I made bogey, and I was pretty happy with that. So, but it was really fun to play with him. And Trotty's awesome. I mean, it's just a guy who, just loves the game. And it's really fun playing with him as well. So, Bandon Trails, like I said, we got to I think it was 13 we ended at. And got on this little shuttle that took us around. And then, a bigger shuttle came and picked us up. And that was it for the night. So, we got done there, went back, and again, just like went to sleep. I think we went back, ate dinner at like 9. My feet were just barking, and that was it. And then went to bed, and there was like no recording a podcast, anything. I literally got back, went to bed, and I knew I had like 6 hours of sleep before I was waking up. So it was, like I said, unfortunately, no podcast recording or anything like that. Before we get in the last couple days, also want to let you know this episode brought to you by Club Champion. And, calling all levels of golfer, get a tour level club fitting, no matter your skill level, at Club Champion. With more than 85 stores nationwide, it's never been easier to lower your scores through perfectly fit custom equipment. Book now at clubchampiongolf.com. Definitely go get fit. I know people say I'm not good enough. I'm terrible. I'm a bad golfer, so why would I get fit? If you talk to any of those fitters, talk to any of the guys over there, they will say that actually higher handicap players usually find more results than, say, a scratch player or something like that. That they just being able to find stuff that helps with your game is huge. So definitely go check out clubchampiongolf.com and book a fitting, because it definitely can help. So basically, real quick, we'll go through the last 2 days. We played Pacific Dunes in the morning, which Pacific Dunes on, I can't remember which list it was, is ranked as like the number 2 public course in the country. And it is the epitome of just, So we played in the morning, we played Sheep Ranch, which is kind of a shorter course. It's kind of like Bandon, little longer grass, little more forgiving, but it didn't play as short as like the card. I think the card said it was like 6,500 from the tees we played, they weren't the tips, they were like the next step up. I think it was like 60. Oh no, it was like 60. Where is it? Where's the card? It was 6,300. Sorry, the tips are 66. But so we played with 6,300, and it felt like it was way longer than that. I mean, it seemed like every hole was into the wind, and everything was. But it was just a great course. It was really fun. Like I said, just kind of a more playable version of Bandon. Like I said, little longer grass, little wider fairways in some spots, and it was just a fun little course. Like the greens had some decent undulation to them. That was probably like my second favorite, to be honest. I mean, it was pretty crazy, but they actually had this hole. I'm trying to remember what number it was. It might have been, was it 6? No, I think it was 6. I think it was, I can't remember which one it was now. It might have been, was it 13? I don't know. I think it was 13, which was the widest fairway I'd ever seen in golf. I mean, it felt like it was 200 yards wide, and we jokingly made some comment about not being able to hit the green or not being able to hit the fairway, and I didn't hit the fairway. Snap hooked it left, hit, rolled, and I thought it was gone. I thought it went OB. It actually got hung up in some of the long grass and the rough, so I didn't actually lose it, which was nice, but it was like a 200-yard wide fairway that I couldn't hit, and it was pretty funny. But I played my best golf on Sheep Ranch just because, like I said, just kind of like Bandon, it was really flat. Like the tight sections kind of around the green weren't as tight, had a little grass. The greens were just a little bit softer. The fairways just a little bit softer. So stuff was just a little more receptive, and it was just a little more playable overall than Bandon. Like I said, the distance didn't really feel like it was that short just because of the wind. I mean, everything wind-wise is pretty bad. I mean, even on a calm day, like for us, Wednesday was really a calm day. The wind was still blowing like 15 miles an hour. So it was just, a constant wind going on. But Sheep Ranch is probably my second favorite after Trails. Just a really kind of fun course to play. It was really enjoyable. Like I said, it wasn't terribly penalizing. You could hit it in some bad spots and still get away with it. The little shots around the green, you didn't have to be quite as precise, and it was really fun. I had a blast on that course. It was one of my favorites, probably, like I said, probably my number 2. And then we played Pacific Dunes in the evening, And that one was kind of a death march a little bit. It was absolutely gorgeous. Like Pacific Dunes, I think I could walk up there with like a wedge, a putter, couple balls, and a camera, and I'd be totally happy. It was just just a beautiful course, and especially playing in the afternoon / evening when the sun started going down. Like the sunsets on that course are just insane. I mean, bunch of holes in the water, bunch of holes have a view of the water. The wind was, of course, brutal there. Some of the bunkers are absolutely atrocious if you get in it. I mean, it's just a matter of try like hell to get it out, just get it back into play and go on. It's basically a penalty stroke. I mean, some of them were just really nasty, but in terms of just, I mean, amazing looking holes, it was just like picturesque. I mean, it really was. Again, the fairways, the grass, the greens, all that, little softer, a little easier than Bandon. This again, a little more playable, and a couple trees in the course, not a ton, but there were a few mounds and things like that would block a little bit of wind. There was a few trees out there, kind of around the front nine, and then also, a couple holes like around 10 and 18 and stuff like that had a little bit of tree cover, but overall not a ton. But it was just a really fun course because it was just great. Like I just wanted to take pictures of like every hole. And that one there, actually, the feet started to really kind of hurt. I ended up getting kind of a blister on my like left heel. And just walking, I mean, when people were putting on the green, I was on one knee, just kind of waiting, and then I'd get up and putt. And like that one, I could really tell that second 36 was starting to take its toll on the old ankles and feet, and that one kind of beat me up pretty good. And then I developed basically this like snap hook beyond snap hooks, and I don't know if it was related to the foot pain or what, or just being tired, but I was snap hooking the ball dead left, just all over the place, where I actually stopped for a few holes and I didn't even hit tee shots. And I would walk up. I was playing with Tursky again, and him and I would walk up, I'd throw it on a ball where his drive was, and we would basically kind of play like a, closer to the pin, or it was a par five, whoever could get, in the quickest or whatever, and just kind of played it like that. And I didn't even care. Like I didn't even care because it was just unbelievable course. It was really fun to walk that. But we got done. We got in all 18. The 18th hole was pretty darn dark. 18th hole, I teed it up, ripped it down the middle, hit a shot that went left, and I hit into this bunker, and everybody was like, well, you're done. Like, that's game over. On 18, it was like this green side bunker. It was like back, there was two bunkers on the left. It was back left, hit it in there, a little bit on a downslope, and everybody was like, you're pretty much toast. Like, it's game over. Just getting it out would be great. And I think I hit it to 4 feet, made the putt. And made par on that par 5, so it was pretty nice to finish off with a pretty nice shot like that. So Pacific Dunes is really nice. Like I said, that's probably number 3 for me out of all these, and Bandon being 4th, just because like I said, it was just amazing. I just didn't play. I just played terrible, so that's why I just didn't. I don't think I loved it as much, but it was pretty amazing course. Just the views alone are pretty insane. So. And then before we got on the plane on Thursday, we played Bandon Trails again. I got all 18 in, which was awesome because like I said, only got up to like 13 the time before, 13 or 14. Played the last couple, and again, that just cemented the fact that was my favorite course. I think I shot 85. I played really well. Played with a couple guys from TaylorMade, and that we just had a bunch of fun. We played a little like 2-man best ball, rotated partners, and. I was the worst golfer by 4th, my non-handicap, so I got a couple strokes, won a few holes, and it was kind of nice. So made a couple birdies, but it was like, like I said, Bandon Trails is kind of just my track. It reminds me of home. It's like playing at home, and I just had fun playing there. So the other cool thing it has is if you're at Pacific Dunes, right behind the building there, or right near 1T, is what they call the Punch Bowl. And I've never seen, it's like a 2-acre putting green. The right side of it is kind of traditional, a little more flat, a couple flags in it. It's like a traditional like warm-up for everybody going on in Pacific Dunes. And then the kind of middle to all the way left is just huge mounds, big rolling hills, all this stuff, just absolutely insane undulation. And they set up little tee markers out there, and it's basically a putting course, 18-hole putting course. And the holes start out kind of easy, like, just a little like uphiller, it's 10 feet or whatever. And they just, as you go, seem to get substantially harder, and you'll have double breakers and double hills and all sorts of crazy stuff. Your ball, you got to stop your ball on top of a little plateau, and I mean, I've never seen anything crazy like that. But it's a pretty cool place to like just go hang out. Like, I mean, after a round, you and your buddies, they have a little like trailer down there on the green where they have like a little beer menu and all that. I mean, just to go out there and, you know, kind of wind down, hit some putts, play some golf. It's kind of a cool little thing, but I've never seen a practice green that big. Absolutely insane. So, like I said, overall total blast. Like I said, I want a huge thank you to TaylorMade for inviting me out. It was pretty cool. And it was one of those things that, you know, it's probably one of the most amazing things in my you know, in my golfing you know, life. And it was a good time. So, and then I red-eyed at home on Thursday. I flew out in the afternoon, was playing after playing, and my plane landed at 5:30 in the morning on Friday morning, and came home, slept for a couple hours, and then was back at it. So it was definitely a rough ride home, or not rough, but it was just a long ride home. So, but I made it. It was fun. And like I said, some of the stuff that I saw, I'll probably talk about maybe next week or something like that. I got to check some dates, but definitely a very cool experience. So I've got guys weekend this weekend. So Friday or Thursday night, I will play my league. I will drive up to Northern Michigan. Me and we have a group of 16 guys, including myself. That, you know, we go, and this year we're playing the Loon, so up near Gaylord, Michigan, and do a little Ryder Cup style. We play we had two 8-man teams, and then you play a little you know, little golf. You play, you know, best ball, you play a shamble, you play 2-man scramble, you play a modified alternate shot. Kind of played a couple different games in there, and you know, whoever is at the end of the year or at the end of the weekend on Sunday, you play a singles, you know, a singles match play, and then points are added up, and one team gets a trophy. So I'm really hoping to pull away another win this year. Last year, I've won the past 2 years. I've been there, and I'm really hoping that now it has nothing to do with me. I played like garbage last year, and thankfully my team played insanely well and won it for me because I didn't do crap. I'm pretty sure I went like 2-2-1 in my matches or something like that. I did not did not play well, but it's all right. We had fun. Like I said, my name's on the trophy twice. I'm hoping to add it a third time. So I'm going through. I've got to put together some my golf bags. I definitely bring at least I bring 2 full sets, so just in case I need to make some changes after day 1. So I'll bring 2 sets again. You know, we'll see how things go. But yeah, it's pretty fun. I'm pretty excited to get up there, play with these guys. You know, there may be a beverage or two consumed, but I'm excited to go. And I've got, like I said, a couple clubs glue drying over there to roll up. I think that Cobra Hybrid I've been playing for a while, or not a while, the new one, the King Tech. I'm putting Nippon Ghost in that, the MMT 80. I don't know what it is. I've lost consistency with it, and you know, of course, it can't be me. So I'm putting the Nippon Ghost in there. So I think that'll be actually kind of a nice setup. I won't lose a ton of launch, but I feel like that may add just a little bit of consistency. So that's going in there. Wedge-wise, I might have a couple new wedges that I can't unfortunately talk about until next week, but I may have a couple new wedges. I'm going to test one of them out tomorrow or tomorrow at my league, and then we'll see if it kind of makes the cut. Then it might go in the bag. And then iron set wise, I'm going to bring the ZX7s. I'm going to bring the T100s, and we'll see how things go there. I did make a change to the ZX7s. I put some C-Taper S Pluses, soft stepped ones, in them, because I was just, you know, the Modus 120s, just, I don't know if it's just the slightly softer handle section or what. I kind of wasn't hitting them great, and I was hitting the T100s really well, which had those Project X60s. So I figured, you know what, maybe, you know, I need something a little stiffer in the handle. So I went with the S Taper Plus that I had just laying around, and like I said, I soft stepped them because S Plus is pretty hefty. I hit them pretty decent at league last week. I didn't bring them down to Bandon, so I didn't hit them there, but I'll hit them again on Thursday, see how they go, and those will probably be the starters, those, and then I'll bring the T100s as well, so those will be down. And then 3-wood, I don't know, I'm thinking I'm just going to go with that. I'm probably either going to go with I'm probably going to play the Hanma TR21 Big LB. That's just been probably the best 3-wood I've been hitting so far. And then the number 2 is kind of a toss-up between TSI 3 and Sim 2 Max. So I don't know which one of those is going to make it down. Driver right now will probably be Sim 2 Max. And then I might bring the Epic Max LS with, you know, either Ventus Red or the regime, the VA Composites regime. Those two, that combo hit really well. So those things are all going down. I got 2 putters, one of which I don't know if I can talk about yet, so I won't say one of them. But actually, I might bring 3 putters. I'm going to bring the Bettinardi with the Fujikura MC putter shaft, and then I got another putter that I just got over the weekend or last week, and then I'll probably bring the Toulon Chicago just because I don't know, that one's been a decent putter as well. So I don't know, got a lot of options. I got to narrow it down, and we'll go from there. So anyway, that's all I've got. I know it's kind of a weird week. I didn't really talk about any clubs. I definitely will have some stuff to talk about next week, that is for sure. So hopefully you guys have a good week. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great weekend. If you're playing golf, play well. And yeah, we'll talk to you next week.